Hey folks, get this. Living without some body parts is actually totally doable. And I'm not kidding. Some peeps out there have managed to survive without lungs and even hearts. Like, who needs those anyways, right? Here are 10 total badasses who have shown us that missing a few body parts is just a minor setback. So without further ado, here are 10 people who have lived without some essential body parts and still crushed life. Number 10. Craig Lewis. Meet this incredible human named Craig Lewis. Craig was dealing with a seriously rare and super bad disease called amyloidosis. Basically, his kidney, heart, and liver were all getting covered in this nasty layer of protein, and there's no cure for it. Not cool, man. In March of 2011, Craig was in real trouble. Even a pacemaker wasn't gonna cut it. But then two genius doctors from the Texas Heart Institute came up with this wild idea to pump blood around the body without a heartbeat. I mean, who needs a heartbeat anyways, right? After practicing on some cows, the doctors finally decided to test it out on a real-life human. And guess who they chose? You got it, our man Craig Lewis. At that point, things were looking pretty grim and the doctors told Craig he only had 12 hours to live. But Craig said, let's do this. So they went ahead with the surgery and it worked. Craig made it out alive and well. I mean, the guy is basically a superhero at this point. Thanks to those two doctors, Craig's still with us today. Keep on living, Craig. Number 9. Tina Earls. Tina Earls noticed a funky sore on her nose, and things just got weirder from there. Every time she turned her head, she'd get a drippy nose and numbness on one side of her face. And don't even get me started on the itchiness. It was driving her crazy. So Tina went to the doctor, but they said it was just an infected hair follicle. No biggie, right? Wrong. The lump on her nose just kept growing and growing, even after trying all sorts of antibiotics and ointments. Finally, a biopsy revealed that Tina had cancer. She underwent surgery to remove part of her nose, but the cancer was worse than they had thought. Tina didn't want to go through radiotherapy, so she reached out to a cancer treatment center in Chicago. After several surgeries, Tina was declared cancer-free, but with a high chance of it coming back. So she made the tough decision to have her whole nose removed to keep herself safe. Number 8. Eric Ramirez. Ramirez, who goes by the name Calico Skull and is basically a walking skeleton with tattoos all over his face and body. That's dedication, am I right? After his mom passed away when he was just a kid, Calico started making some wild changes to himself. He got a tattoo of his mom's face on his back, which is sweet and all, but then he took things up a notch. He decided he wanted to look like a human skull, so he got his tattoo artist friend to chop off the tips of his nose and ear. Yikes! That look went viral on the internet and Calico became an overnight sensation. But he's not done yet, folks. He plans to have his genitals cut off so he can be totally flat, like a real-life skeleton. Now talk about commitment. Calico says he doesn't care about gender or age or anything like that. He just wants to be at peace with the dead and he thinks about being buried 2 meters underground sounds pretty cozy. And you know what? Pain is like medicine to him. So he's cut his tongue in half, got gray tattoos, and even has bone-like teeth around his mouth. The media and people back in Colombia might not be too keen on Calico's style, but his Instagram is filled with fans taking selfies with him on the street. Now, I don't know about you, but I think Calico's a total legend. Number 7. Paul Alexander. Meet Paul Alexander, better known as the man with the iron lung. And no, I'm not talking about that Iron Man dude from the movies. This is the real deal. See, Paul was diagnosed with polio way back in the day, and it left him paralyzed from the neck down. But he didn't let that stop him. Instead, he started using this crazy machine called an iron lung. It's basically this giant metal tube that helps him breathe by using negative pressure to expand his lungs. It's like something out of a sci-fi movie. Paul's been using this thing for over 60 years and he's even become a bit of a celebrity because of it. He's been on TV and in documentaries and people all over the world know his story. It just goes to show that when life hands you lemons, you can always make lemonade. Or in Paul's case, iron lung lemonade. Keep on breathing, Paul. Number 6. Tiffany Geiger. Tiffany Geiger had a dream to become a professional dancer, but for a long time it felt like an impossible dream. Tiffany was born with Charcot-Levin syndrome, a rare genetic bone disorder that often causes a curved spine and a short neck and torso. When Tiffany was a child, she didn't think much about her condition, and she even took dance classes with other kids in her Brooklyn neighborhood. But her dance teacher told her that she didn't think it was possible for her to become a ballerina. It was a hard truth for Tiffany to hear, and it shattered her dreams. Tiffany went on to study business in college, but she never forgot her love for dance. She sometimes taught dance classes in New York, but she thought that she couldn't do anything else in the industry. Then in 2014, Tiffany met Heidi Latsky, the owner of an integrated dance company for dancers with disabilities in New York City. Heidi saw something special in Tiffany and asked her to join her dance company. Tiffany finally said yes, and now she's living her dream of being a professional dancer. She performs in shows in New York City, and her face and body are even on display in Times Square. It's a dream come true, but it hasn't been easy. Tiffany faces ridicule and cruelty every day in New York, but despite all of that, she's grateful for her family and friends who stand by her. Tiffany is a true inspiration, proof that dreams can come true even when the odds seem stacked against you. Number 5. Dallas Waynes. Poor Dallas was painting a church when he accidentally touched a live high-voltage power line. Talk about a major shock. He suffered some serious injuries, but doctors did their best to save him. His burned skin was removed in more than a dozen surgeries, even his left eye was taken out. But wait, there's more. Dallas Waynes went on to get the first full face transplant in the United States. Now he can smell again and even feel his daughter's kisses. Aw, how sweet is that? Dallas was doing better than expected. Sure, he has fake eyes and no teeth, but he's starting to smile again. And it's all thanks to the plastic surgery team led by Dr. Jeffrey Janis. So let's give a big round of applause to the guy who got a second chance at life and is making the most of it. Number 4. Henry Gustav Molaison, aka HM. Henry Gustav Molaison, aka HM, was a real trailblazer in the field of neuroscience, but not by choice. See, poor HM had some serious epilepsy that just wouldn't quit, so doctors decided to try a psychosurgical operation to fix it. Long story short, things didn't go according to plan. They drilled some holes in his skull and sucked out parts of his brain, which left HM with a nasty case of amnesia. He couldn't remember anything new, which sounds kinda cool until you realize that includes stuff like how to brush your teeth or what your own name is. But as it turns out, HM's tragedy was actually a huge turning point in our understanding of how memory works. Scientists were able to study his brain and figure out that memory isn't just a thing that the whole brain does. It's localized to certain spots. Who knew? HM spent the rest of his life living in the present moment, which is kinda cool in theory, but also kinda sad. He even had a friend and researcher named Suzanne Corkin who stuck with him for 46 years, despite the fact that every time they met, it was like the first time for HM. All in all, HM's story is a reminder that life is weird and science is even weirder. Rest in peace, HM, at least you taught us something. Number 3. Terry Fox. Terry Fox was not just an ordinary athlete, but a man with a vision and a purpose. He had been an active sportsman in his teenage years and was at the peak of his physical fitness when he was diagnosed with osteogenic sarcoma, which is a rare type of bone cancer. Despite the setback, Terry did not give up. In fact, he chose to face his predicament head-on, and in the process, he became an inspiration to many. Terry's story is one of courage, resilience, and determination. After losing his leg to cancer, he could have given up on his dreams and wallowed in self-pity. But instead, he chose to use his experience to help others. He embarked on a mission to raise awareness and funds for cancer research by running a marathon across Canada. The Marathon of Hope, as it was called, saw Terry running a total of 5,373 kilometers from St. John's, Newfoundland to Thunder Bay, Ontario, covering a distance of 42 kilometers each day. Despite the challenges he faced along the way, such as blisters, shin splints, and extreme fatigue, Terry remained focused on his goal. His message of hope and perseverance touched the hearts of many Canadians who donated generously towards cancer research. By the time he had to stop his marathon due to the spread of cancer to his lungs, Terry had raised millions of dollars and became a national hero. Terry's legacy lives on even after years of his passing. He's inspired many others to take up the fight against cancer, and his story continues to be a beacon of hope for those affected by the disease. Number 2. Cassidy Hooper. Cassidy Hooper is a true boss. Born without eyes or a nose, she's one of the most hardcore people you'll ever meet. In high school, she ran track, worked at concerts, volunteered at charity events, and even took the bus alone from Charlotte to Raleigh every week. Can you even imagine? But she didn't stop there. She graduated from Central Piedmont Community College with an Associates of Arts degree. She's always lived by the motto, "I don't need it easy, I just need possible." And she's proven that she can handle anything that comes her way, from childhood to a series of reconstructive surgeries. She couldn't believe it how quickly college flew by. She didn't want to believe it was happening when she walked across that stage at graduation. She thought she was in a dream, but nope, just crushing it in real life. Cassidy Hooper is an inspiration to us all. Number 1. Kyle Maynard. Kyle Maynard's story is one of perseverance and strength. Born with congenital amputation, a rare condition that left him without arms and legs, he faced incredible challenges from an early age. Despite the difficulties he faced, Kyle's parents never once considered aborting him, and they supported him as he navigated life in a world that was not designed for someone like him. Growing up, Kyle struggled to do many things that other children just take for granted. He couldn't walk or use his hands, and even eating was a challenge. But Kyle refused to let his condition define him. He was determined to find a way to do things on his own and become as self-sufficient as possible. With the support of his family, Kyle learned to do things that most people would consider impossible. He climbed Mount Kilimanjaro without prosthetics, and he started his own CrossFit gym called No Excuses. Through his incredible resilience and determination, Kyle has become an inspiration to people all around the world, showing that anything is possible if you believe in yourself and never give up. Which of these stories inspires you the most? Leave us a comment down below, and remember to be kind to everyone. Peace.